Right, there we go. I'm sorry this is a bit late. I just had some stuff to do this morning. Let's get rid of that. So today I double checked what episode this actually is. Turns out we're on episode 21. So had the 20th last live stream, so it was quite fitting really that the 20th one was the one that got loads of views and stuff, which is great. But today basically I don't really have many find goals. All I really want to do is get the box highlighting done that I was working on before, and take it from there. See if there's anything that kind of pops out that I want to work on. Maybe see if I can fix that bug that the volumetric block stuff gave me, which I've no idea what that was about, to be quite honest. But we'll try and have a look and solve it. So I guess we need to go down to, I believe it's in the editor camera. We need, if I can find it, this code here. So I literally said at the end that if I came back with a fresh set of eyes, I'd spot it pretty much immediately. And surprise, surprise, that has kind of happened, because I basically came back, had a look at it, and immediately kind of knew roughly what was wrong. So I'm going to do. There's also some extra stuff I'm going to do as well. This needs moving up one. So let's move this up here. Oh wait, no, sorry. Let's not do that. So I believe what was happening was we need to add the maximum onto here rather than taking it away, which makes sense. And actually this isn't even the full equation, I just kind of wanted to get it working so that I could visualize everything. This will need a complete recompile, so this will take some time. But I suppose this is a good opportunity to show you what I've been working on the side. So as some of you may know, so I've mentioned it here and in a few other places, we have been working on getting the project to a point where that doesn't even sorry, I want to be able to see the compiling thing, but it doesn't show. I've been getting the project management side to the point where we have all of our tasks, including things for stuff like marketing and stuff, all set up within Jira. So I've written an article about why we've made the switch over to Jira and Kanban, which is the methodology that we're using. So we want to use Jira as a way to really kind of keep on track of our development at this point, because it is starting to get a bit more complicated, the more features that are being added in. Also, we want to be able to open up community interaction a bit more. So one way of doing that is to use Jira to allow feature submissions. Now what will happen is, since we're using a Kanban methodology, which is basically you have these columns and you have these tasks, and your goal is to drag tasks through the pipeline until they're complete. A community member will suggest something in the ideal world. It will go to the proposed section, as well as all of the things that we want to do as well, of course, all of the core technologies that we're looking to. We will review those, and we will either approve them, so they'll move on to the next stage, or they'll be denied, which means they'll either get deleted or they'll stay in the proposed section. So in cases where we deny features straight out, we want to ask that the community maybe re-reviews them, or whoever submitted them re-reviews them. We don't want to outright say, look, we're never doing this again. We just want to say, maybe, work on it a bit more, reframe this, and then we'll potentially look at approving that. Doesn't necessarily mean it'll get worked on, however, so this is the next stage. So once it's been approved, the way Kanban works is you're supposed to almost think of it as dragging features from the left-hand side to the right-hand side rather than pushing them through the pipeline. So where there's empty space, the goal is to drag things across. So we will have these kind of maybe ordered in terms of priority, or we'll look at it every time we want to add a new thing for whatever reason, and we will go, okay, this sounds good to work on right now, let's drag it across. Or we'll open it up to community voting where we've got these 3 approved features, decide which ones we work on first. That's the kind of gist of it. If it turns out people don't actually like a feature that's in the approved list, it may end up going backwards, although that's something we want to avoid. More than likely what will happen is it will just get deprioritized and potentially never worked on, especially if we're adding new content all the time. And then once that's done, it'll move into the prepared stage. So the prepared stage for us means the task itself has been reviewed fully. We've broken it down into all of the steps that we believe need to be taken to get that completed. We are ready to kind of work on it properly. Like we've kind of evaluated it fully, and we're ready to actually go on it. And then of course in progress are things that are being built. So what I'll do is I'll take you through, and then the other things are fairly self-explanatory. I mean, there's built, which is the features being built by me or Josh. Evaluation is where we review it, make sure that everything's how we need it to be. Then there's ready. The distinction between ready and complete is that ready is like, we're confident in it. It's you know, it's packaged up nicely, it's ready to go. And then complete is maybe like it's shipped, or thing is live. So complete is slightly separate, but slightly different to ready. Might reword the, yeah, in fact let's call that live. And this we'll just leave that as ready, actually, that's fine. So I'll go through a feature with you now, because this is actually the thing I'm working on at the moment. So we've approved this. Now this is my first time kind of really using this, so you're kind of going through this with me as we go. I will assign it to myself so that it shows up in my dashboard. I can see it. Can add a description. So this is having a 3D highlight over what space in voxel space a prop occupies in memory. So for us, the reason this feature is important is when it comes to things like AI, and also prop placement as well to an extent, but when it comes to AI, we need to know what physical volume a prop will take up in voxel space, because the voxel system will be what we use to generate our nav meshes. I'm going to have to write a custom solution for that, because you can't really very easily bake custom nav meshes, and I feel like it would get quite messy quite quickly, and we wouldn't have much flexibility in how that works. So I'm going to develop my own custom solution for that, and hopefully it's not too horrendous. Hopefully it works nicely. There's some degree in flexibility in how that works. So we don't want it to be too rigid. We just want this navigation system to essentially be, here's a set of nodes in memory. Find a way to navigate between them. So I will put in debug visualizers for that when that feature gets built, so that we don't actually have to build an AI controller at that point in time. I just want to see that it works. So yeah, this feature entails having a 3D highlight over a space in voxel space. So voxel space is basically just saying in term relative to voxels, so what space it occupies relative to the voxels themselves. Proc occupies in memory is to later a features and features. There we go. About does it for the description. We don't want anything too complicated. We can also, from what I understand, can add stuff. We can also add flags as well. So flags. I don't really know how these work. I guess flags are just like things where you can be like, this is a priority feature. We can also add labels. So we can add this is what I was looking for actually, not flags. So we'll add a label of core. So what this, I'll call it something like developer. So what this means is this label is a feature that has been suggested by and approved by the developers. This kind of labeling system will kind of help us organize tasks when it comes to things that have been suggested. So I'll also call this public. So part of our goal long term is we'll have public and private features. So if something we're not sure about, or it's something that is being developed on stream, it will obviously be a public feature. We can't really hide it, but we may, in some instances, we're not sure why yet or how. We may in some instances want private ones, features that, for example, we don't think are fully kind of ready for the public to see yet, or we want to be a surprise, or we want to have in development for a particular event, and we want it to be first time kind of seen there. Now, it'll be rare that we do private features, so don't worry, we're not going to go all kind of full private development style, which is something that we definitely want to avoid, but this is the basic gist of it. So that's the kind of thing we want to do. And then there are other ways to add in additional things. You can add apps. So I'm not sure what apps there are here, but I know that there's should be like time management tasks, for example. That might be something that I'll look into at some point, but I'll look into it off stream, so it'll take me quite a lot of time and research to get into. We might want to add the way to add in extra fields, and I can't remember how to do it. It might be in configure. Yeah, here we go. So, oh, we can add dates in. So I can add checkboxes in here. That's pretty much exactly what I want to do actually. So I want to add in the field though. Put it in. Oh, I can't put it in the field. Okay, never mind. So I think I can add multiple. So this is the oh no. I don't know how you delete things. Get out. Oh, there's a remove button here. So, got a checkbox for time. Sorry, for code requirements. I'll have to look about reordering this so it's maybe a bit nicer. We could add in a date, I think, which is when it should be finished by. So yeah, let's try this. In fact, I'm going to look up deadlines in Jira. let's find out how this works. Scheduling an issue. So schedule an issue, populate its due date field. Does it show me? I want an image or something. I presume this is maybe a feature in the other section. Let me just save this quickly. Let's go back. Project. Click on here quick. Does it not allow me to add due date? Let's try it in roadmap. Ooh, not quite what I wanted to be. I don't know exactly how it works. Maybe I need to edit it somehow. Again, let's go to configure. I think it's configure anyway. If there's anything I can do. Ah, there we go. Sorry, I must have missed that before. So let's remove this one because we don't need it. We want the due date. Know the difference between due date versus deadline? Maybe it's just the name. Maybe deadline's kind of more like a hard, like this has to be done. If it isn't, then you know you're screwed. Add a priority. So priority is quite important, to be honest. This is actually a low priority feature. This is what I mean by having things prepped, so we can evaluate at this stage what things we think are quite important and what aren't. Things that are labelled the highest will be things that are absolutely essential to the project. Without it, the project doesn't work. High are things that we kind of need to put in. Like, they're not essential, they're not core technologies, but they're pretty important. Medium's kind of like, it's not quite that important, but it's something that you'd expect from maybe that type of project, or a feature that you'd expect with the editor, or something that is kind of core to that type of software. And then low is like, it'd be nice, but you know, whatever. So I'm going to set this at, I'd say it's pretty high priority. We need some way to see what it is that we're doing. So it'd be interesting, I think, for you guys to see how we set these. I'm not really sure what a deadline is in terms of the difference between due date and deadline. But we'll see. So we'll save these changes quickly. We'll go back to project settings, back to project. Here we are. Go to this. Oh, so all of these now actually have these fields. I don't know how we edit these. I guess we just type them in. That's not quite what I wanted. I'm not sure why that doesn't work properly. Right, so let's set a due date. We ideally want this done by the end of today, so we'll actually set today as the due date. Fairly simple. It's not something I expect to take too long, but we do want to get it out of the way and done. We want... I will try and look at re-editing this because I'm not sure why it doesn't allow me to add custom things to this. Maybe this is like a checklist that is maybe tasks that need doing in terms of Jira, so maybe you've like quality controlled it, that kind of thing. That's, I imagine, what it is. Let's just configure this slightly. Again, let's look this up. Jira checklist. Maybe it's subtask actually. There's I don't know if it's actually in here, but let's also try time tracking actually, why not? Give that a go. I don't really know how that works, to be honest. I think we just say I've started working on this, and you press finish when you're done, maybe. It's been... Remove default priority. We don't actually want to assign anything by default on there. Don't want any default labels. Sure, let's have a look. So right, Jira subtasks. top left apparently. So let's go back into there. Again, let's go back. Maybe I need to enable it. I presume there's a setting for it. They said something along the lines of I need to do I want the full? Really sure. Wasn't what I wanted to be quite honest, but at least I found it, I suppose. Tasks, there we go. I think that's how it works. So now that that's added in, I go back again. Projects, brains. Then on my board, click on here. Nice. I genuinely have no idea how I'd go about adding these. I do it through roadmap maybe. Well, there's add child issue, I suppose. Don't know if I can do that through the board though. I guess I can. Or is this like a checklist as well? No. nice if I could kind of tick these off as I went. Oh well, it doesn't matter. Anything else? I don't think so. I know that I've already spent most of yesterday on this feature. I think I spent all of yesterday on it, so let's just say is that how it works? I think. So I've spent an hour on it. There we go. Time remaining. To be honest, I have no idea. Let's say 2 hours. Why not? So let's copy this. I don't know if this is something that we really need, to be honest. I think I might remove it. No way to go back. You would think there's a way to go back on that, but apparently not. And that doesn't pop up in the end there. One thing I've just realised as well actually is I'm not playing music, so I'll put music on. Make the stream a bit more interesting. Should have done that at the start, but well. And this up and see what it says. Oh, I can just change it here without clicking on it, that's nice. Out of curiosity. Ah, I see. That's quite cool. So there's 2 progress bars. One for it's being worked on and one for it's complete. That's really nice. Cool. So let's have a look at the roadmap now and see if anything's changed on here. There's that little blue progress bar, which is nice. This is quite fun. I do want to go back and edit that setting that I did by accident. There we go. Also, let's have a look at go to dashboard. So this is what I was on about. So on the dashboard here, it will show me where all of my tasks are. Let me get rid of these bots. I actually can't remember how to remove comments. I thought I could remove stuff from my chat, but maybe not. Just clear chat, there we go. I don't know if it'll update actually on I want to give bots free promotion basically. That do it? Yeah, there we go. Right, now, so we can actually start using this as we should do. So, this has been prepared. I've looked through it. I've set all of the priorities properly. Everything's set up. Description's written in. Checklist is in. So it's prepared. We'll move that straight onto the in progress section because obviously we're working on it now. This field I want to edit because I don't think I want too many things to be prepared at once. I don't know actually, that being said. Oh yeah, I'll leave that as is for now. Right, let's get rid of that on the side. Let's actually do what we're meant to be doing. So we were going to test out that thing, weren't we? Start prop highlighting. So won't work quite how I intend it to work just yet, but will be somewhat close. So, I mean, it kind of works. Yeah, it's kind of working. What I want to do though is take away I think I want to add minimum, to be quite honest. Because it starts at 0. Yeah, I think we do. We want to add those. And then what we actually want to take away is the origin position. So it's kind of like an offset. So we'll take this. X origin. So this is essentially what we're adding in here. So this determines how offset it is from center. do the same for all of them. Change these two to Y and this one to Z. Should be takeaway, I believe. So let's compile that. I believe this will have fixed it. If not, then we'll have some serious thinking to do about how it works. No, that didn't fix it at all. I kind of want to know what it's doing now, though. Let's try... well, let's think it through. So... So we're taking the X position, we're adding onto it the minimum X, so in this case it'll be 0, and we're taking away the X origin, which in this case is 1, so I believe that's correct. So in this case, the origin for this object starts off at, I believe it's 1, 1. If I go into the prop controller and edit that, there we go. So tree for this, yeah, it's 1, 1. So we're taking away 0, origin should be 1. Sorry, the min position should be 1. The max position should be... one thing I need to add in actually. Minus 50. So I want it on the edge of those shapes. The reason I'm doing this is I want it on the boundary of the voxel and not on the centre line. So this is just a half voxel offset for each of the shapes. That should hopefully push it into the right territory. See if this works. Yeah, so I think that's correct actually. Try it for a more, well, let's just try it for a different shape, I suppose. Yeah, that's 2 boxes high. Awesome. Again, I don't know why these shapes showing up with multiple highlight zones, because they shouldn't. I'm not sure why they're doing that. These ones should. The other ones aren't set to. They're set to have a single high volume. Really weird, and I can't work out what it is. I might have to set manually that bit to false. I mean, let's give that a go, see if it fixes it. Try this one, because this is the one that shouldn't be. So set that one to manually set this one to false. Give that a go. I don't know if that'll fix the issue. If it doesn't, I'm perplexed, honestly, because something at some stage is setting it to true and I need to work out what it is. Shouldn't take too long to compile. Press play. Oh, it's still doing it. It's really strange. Okay. I'll investigate that further in a bit. For now, however, what I'm going to do is set the draw debug sphere. This one's relatively simple, I just want to set it at its... Yeah, I don't know why I was doing all of this crazy stuff, but basically I just want to set it to the... I basically just want the origin, that's all I'm wanting. So I'm using all of these. I just thought I'd not waste. I just wanted to check I'm not wasting any code. But let's just go through and do something called world origin, and then do world origin X, origin Y, etc., etc. Copy this down for each one. So what I'm aiming to do with this, I need to find the center of the object. To be honest, I think this equation should work. I'm not quite sure why it doesn't, but we'll investigate that. I'm sure there's a valid reason. So we'll add it in. We can get rid of... No, I'll leave it in brackets actually. So it's very similar to this equation up here. But rather than finding the minimum and maximum, we're wanting to find the origin position. I think this is actually, we're wanting to plus the origin in this case. We just need to work out what to take away. So it might be that we needed to do those the other way around, but let's start off with this as a baseline. So obviously want it Y and Z, not for same on each one. And that needs to be 50, so let's start off with that. And also replace all of these with their respective things so that the code's a bit cleaner. Let's get rid of that as well. And this one. There we go. We can inline all of that. Same with this now actually, we can... Oh no, we'll leave that on 2 lines. Yeah, I think what we just need to do, like I was saying, is instead of adding the minimum width and taking away the origin, we need to do it the other way around. So what was it called? Max object width. Sorry about that, I was just doing something a second there. So I'm pretty sure this is all we need to do. And obviously change these to depth and height. Excuse me. Let's compile that. So while that's compiling, I'll just do some quick mental math in my head. So let's say we had an x origin of 1 like we do. We have a max object width of 3. Yeah, that actually stays central, that's fine. Same with this one, it stays central. In this case, however, we have a max object width of... max object height, sorry, of, I think it's 7. So divided by 2 is... like 3 or something. So this might actually go underneath the object, which is what I want. Still in the wrong place either way. Not convinced that's actually done anything there. Let's try recompiling again. So max object height I think is currently set at, yeah, it's at 7. So 7 divided by 2, 3.5, probably be rounded up. Or maybe it's not actually, I don't think it'd be rounded. It is to an int, so... although it is times by 50. Maybe not then, we'll see. So... The Z origin is 0, I think. Should be at least, anyway. Let's just double check that. Sorry, it's in prop controller, isn't it? Yeah, it's at 0. In that case, do we need to actually change anything? Let's take another example. Let's get Paint up. Trusty Paint. Hasn't failed me yet. It's a bit tedious, but oh well. Again, we're just doing this in 2D because I don't need to do it in 3D. Once I've worked out the logic for one, I can translate it with an extra dimension. It's relatively easy. It's just adding another calculation field, really. So let's say we have we're placing an object here. Its boundaries are this big. We've set the boundary as 1, 1, so it's center. So to put it where it should be, we'd need to take away no, it's a tough one. So originally it'd start off here, which is fine. But let's use a more complex example because this one's kind of a bad one. Let's put there as an example. Or here even is probably better. So in this case, the origin is 3, 1. Sorry, 2, 1. So I guess we actually just position it at the 0, 0. I don't think there's anything particularly important about where it's placed, to be quite honest. The only way it would matter, the collision box was conformed differently around it. Yeah, I suppose it's always going to be at 0, 0, isn't it? So, or it should be at least. Yeah, let's just do that. not actually complicated like I thought it was, but I'm sure I had a reason for wanting to try it the other way around before. I just can't remember what that reason is. Let's leave it like that for now. Compile that. One second, I'm just having a look at something on the side quickly. Just bear with me. Sorry, I was just looking at the Science and Technology panel. I'm wondering if there's maybe a better category to place this in. I think they're all in Science and Technology. I don't know. There's an under development category, but I've never seen it before. Yeah, I think the under development category is actually a game. It so happens to have a name that's not very descriptive. Anyway, right, so that's done. Yeah, so that shows the origin point. I might need to make that slightly bigger. It shows outside of its boundaries. It's like here, for instance, you can't really see unless that you can, obviously. Yeah, maybe making that extend double into each dimension would be helpful. So currently it's set to, I mean, I should set these all up as variables really. Oh, because it's a, is there an ellipsoid function? capsule potentially, but not really what I want. Guess I'll just use sphere, doesn't matter. We'll increase this to 75. That should be, I mean, it'll be a bit into the above one and a bit more into the below voxel, but you know, here's what it is. So it is actually like touching the top and the bottom, but let's see how it looks with the rock. Maybe make that a bit smaller, to be honest. 75. I mean, it's a good height, don't get me wrong, but it's a good width, but it's not a good height, that's my... So I'll just revert it back, doesn't matter. That at 50 again, there we go. Sorry, just getting distracted. But yeah, that's back to how it was before again. I think that's fine. I don't think there's anything we really need to take into account. The only thing I am again concerned of is this kind of weird double height thing which I for the life of me cannot figure out. Because that should not be how it's working, but it is for some reason. So I believe I even set the borders, like all of these collision volume things, I believe I set them to false at the start, so there's no point at which they should be... Yeah. I do set them all to false, all the origins are set to 0. There is literally nothing, I don't think, that should state that any of these are true at any point. Unless it's reading from case 1, which it shouldn't be. Unless it has something to do with the origin position, which I doubt. Out of curiosity, actually, I'm going to change the origin to something else on here. I want to see what it does. Because my thinking is it will change where it is relative to the tree, which is what it should do. But I just want to make sure that actually works and that none of my calculations are massively off. I don't think that's recompiled. do wish I had some degree of confidence in the recompiling feature, but for some reason it doesn't always do it, so I find it hard to tell sometimes if it's me or if it's UE4 being weird. Did I do it for that or did I do it for the well? That apparently. Did I take into account origin position? Did it done? Or does that not appear to be doing anything? Because, well, min and max. Yeah, it takes the origin off. So in that case it would be plus 0. Oh no, it wouldn't, sorry, it would be what would it be? The min would be 1. So plus 1 minus the origin, which is 1. But that cancels out. So it is just the centre point. Great. So let's try it from a different perspective. Let's say we've got 0 plus 0 minus 1. Oh no, it'd be plus 1 minus 0. Yeah, that should work. No way it's not. I need to test this more really. But again, that moves me on to board, which is the evaluation phase. Like, I think this is complete. I don't know why the variables just aren't updating properly. Let's presume that I have set let's do both. I think maybe they're corresponding to the wrong things for some reason. Let's give that a go. Maybe maybe part of the increment for what it's checking is wrong, which is why it's doing weird like half height stuff and blah blah blah. Let's have a look. You see, that's wrong. It would be displaying like that. It's also wrong. I think maybe I've just got it to the point where it works by accident for centralization, but it shouldn't do. That or it's not updating these variables properly. I need to find a way to force compile it. See what it does with 2. Nope. Is it even taking into account the origins? Possibly not. This bit is definitely working, so I know that's fine. But it should definitely be basing it off of the origin position. I don't know why it isn't. I'm convinced my code is not updating properly because that should move. Because if I look at this code again, that's definitely factoring in that X origin. God only knows what's happening there. So let's... I don't really know how to force it to do something, but... I don't know. Let's put that in. Maybe then it'll compile. No clue. Almost seems to be ignoring any changes I make at this point actually. Maybe that's been the issue the entire time, maybe it's just not updating. Possible that it's saved that file up to a certain point and doesn't recognise any more code changes. Yeah, that's not doing what I expect it to at all. Excuse me. Definitely calling set prop bound somewhere. Hope. Yep, that's definitely correct. So what could it be? That's my issue. Maybe it genuinely just isn't compiling. I'll try recompiling the entire thing, see if that works. Anything I can do in here? Rescan this file. Rescan entire solution. This could take a while. Oh my god. Python, language of the gods. I wish I was using Python, it'd be nice. Well, that being said, actually, I'm reluctant to use Python because it's not as powerful as what I'm using currently. Right, this is nearly done, so hopefully this rescan picks up some of the changes. I still can't work out why it's not working properly from this point in my code, but we'll give it a go. At least it's close to working. I mean, my boundaries seem to have actually made a difference. The calculation code that I've got seems to actually be doing something now as well. Wait for this to compile on this end. Hopefully it doesn't have to do a complete recompile. Am I making a JRPG? So, in essence what we're building is... the best way to describe it is we have an editor similar to Minecraft. With a play function similar to that of an RPG in a way, yeah. So the goal is at the moment to get a working editor working so that we can make nice scenes, place what will eventually become interactable objects, that kind of thing. So I actually have a scene that I built earlier, so if I press the load button, it will populate it with the things that I've saved, and then it'll incrementally load the voxels that I set up. So this will be masked by a nice UI at some point. Obviously, like, it'll overlay and it will say it's loading or whatever, and you won't see all of this, but yeah, it'll load everything in bit by bit. And then it's done. So this is a scene that I made. You can edit it, you can save it, you can place stuff in it. If I wanted to, I've got a well that I can place down, I've got various rocks. Oh, and the character, which for some reason is huge. Which I've not actually set up, so I can't actually delete him. In fact, let's do that now. I can't remember what key that is. It's 7? Yeah. So in the actual game, I believe he will be 4 blocks high or something to that effect. So what we'll do is we'll grab this. There we go. So that should have set him up. Again, the other stuff wasn't working, not sure why, so hopefully adding in code changes will fix it. What I mean by not working is, if you've not been watching before, for some reason the rocks think that they occupy a height of 2 when they only occupy a height of 1, which is very strange. And it's something that I've not been able to figure out yet, so it's almost like some variables aren't being refreshed or something like that, but no reason why they shouldn't be. So let's go into prop mode, surface placement mode. Here we go. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's working fine. Now this rock, I believe, is one that should occupy a height of 2. So let me just double check that in code. Yeah, 5, 4, and 1, which are 2, 5 and 6 in the editor. They occupy the right height, but let's show off these ones. Sorry, not those ones. These ones for some reason don't. These two should only occupy a height of 1. For some reason they appear to show off a height of 2, so I'm trying to investigate why at the moment. But it's been kind of weird to figure out, because nothing I have set here should indicate that they do occupy that height. The only thing I can think of maybe is in the spawning code for these. So in spawn a new prop, if the volume collision data is true for that particular slot, we place it in. Obviously we've only set one of them to be true, so this should only happen once, but for some reason it's happening twice. Unless prop reference IDs isn't being updated correctly. Which shouldn't be the case at all. Because all we're doing is adding something to the list there, and that's in a single space as well. It's not as if we're pushing it to multiple at the same time. If we were, I'd understand, obviously. So somehow it's updating the one above it as well. I also don't think we are updating this anywhere else, so that shouldn't be receiving any additional input from anywhere, which is really weird. Yeah, so genuinely can't find anything that would break this. The only thing I can think of to try to maybe get more information is getting rid of all this crap on the human model that we've just put in and having him register as 1 high. That's really weird. Yeah, so he works just fine. What on earth? So why is... I genuinely can't figure this out. Why is that working and the other stuff not? So for... I mean, what's technically 3 and 4? I'm only setting 1 space. I'm not setting anything else. It's exactly the same setup as this. Unless the prop model has not been updated correctly, that's possible. But there's no reason why that shouldn't be. Let's go back down to... Oh no, it'll be in here actually. So prop model equals prop ID, which is the thing that's passed in. yeah, we're adding an instance based on that prop ID. So we'd know if it was different because it would show up as a different model. Right, genuinely, this is something I cannot work out. What I'm going to do though, quickly, is just take a quick toilet break and then I'll be right back. Right, I am back. So what I'm going to do to try and solve this issue is I'm going to look at recompiling the entire project. Because again, there's no reason why it shouldn't be using... Hang on, I have an idea. I might know what it is. Had this issue before. Just want to double check that I'm using all of the correct brakes. No, you see that's the problem. Simple stuff like this that I always overlook. Right. I should also fix that other issue I was having as well. There we go, should fix it. Now I can also test this tree offset, make sure this is working correctly. Now this change that I'm making here should set the tree to go backwards. Or rather the collision boxes for this tree to go backwards, not the tree itself. So I should be able to highlight it by going here, or up here, or there we go. Yeah, that's all working fine, that's great. One thing I did notice just then was, oh, the highlight's still working in the right place, that's great. So yeah, that does actually work. I was just being a fucking idiot as usual. I've done that before. One of the major issues I had on one of the earlier blogs, not blogs, sorry, on one of the earlier podcasts. Again, not a podcast, live streams. Got there in the end. One of the earlier live streams was I had this issue where my block smoothing wasn't working correctly because it would basically set it to the wrong stuff, and it was because of exactly the same problem. I hadn't included breaks in there where they should have done, and because there was a lot of code, it kind of obscured the fact that the breaks were missing. And it was only actually someone that I was working with in the comment section that managed to point it out for me, and so I was extremely grateful at the time. Just because it was a nightmare to try and solve. Like, absolute nightmare. I genuinely don't think I would have been able to solve that problem had I not had someone in the comment section kind of helping me out with that. So I was really, really appreciative at the time. Just because sometimes all it takes is a fresh set of eyes to just say, look, you're doing something weird, you know, fix it. Well, that's awesome. That's all working how I wanted it to. So I can actually now complete my timesheet on that issue in Jira. So let's go back into here. So I was actually pretty much spot on. I have actually spent an additional 2 hours. Can I just do 2 hours? Is that acceptable? Cool. Awesome. And now I can move that across. So I'll place it in the built stage. So it won't be evaluated yet because it will be evaluated when Josh uses it for the first time. But yeah, awesome. That's coming along nicely. I just want to check the roadmap quickly. So obviously all of this roadmap stuff, it's all kind of fresh. So these estimates are not actually what they should be. This will need its own due date. So each feature will have a due date. Each feature will also have dependencies set up. So I'll be working on that at some point, getting that all working. But it's just a matter of admin really, which will kind of be done off stream. But yeah, just 1 second. Thank you. Going well. Just fix something. Bye. Right, so I've just been brought food. Good. TY for food. But yeah, with that done, let me just see if there's any other outstanding issues on Jira quickly. I could get done today. This is something I could investigate. But what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to wrap it up there. I might live stream again later, just to go at this issue again, but I think what I'm going to do is go for lunch and then rework on the Jira roadmap. And then hopefully I can give you guys an update as to how that's going. But we'll see. So yeah, thanks for watching again. I know this one's been a lot shorter than last ones, but I will try and improve the time gradually. When I'm more comfortable with the Jira system, just because there's a lot that still needs doing and I don't want to show too much off on stream yet until it's a bit more built out. I just want to make it clear that this is kind of a proof of concept at this stage and we're still adding to it, we're still blocking out estimates, that kind of thing. So yeah, yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. I hope you've got something out of it, and I will see you next time.